I had a massive chat with Laura O'Driscoll there this evening. She's a trail runner, adventure racer, making waves in the racing world. We talked about her impressive 2024 season, which included a second place in the ARI Solo Series, and she had many victories, including the Annapurna Himalayan Trail Race and the Mouren Sky Run, 14 Peaks, and she also attended the Dragons Back, as well as many other races throughout the year. We also looked ahead at 2025 and what was next on the cards for this powerhouse of an athlete. So tune in to hear her journey, training, and all the exciting adventures she's conquering.
Laura, thanks for joining me this evening.
Thanks, Lorraine. Great to be here.
Yay. How are you? How are things?
Not too bad, yeah, tipping away here. A little bit out of action at the moment, but I'm tipping away on the bike and swimming and strengthening and all the rest. But yeah, all good. You?
Good. Yeah, tipping away. Had a little tipple with my own ankle there. Yeah. So
The ankle?
slightly
Yeah.
sprained currently at the moment. So training is on a little back burner, but we'll get there.
I know we will. I'm still waiting for a shop to open with spare body parts at this
Yeah,
stage.
yeah. Just need an ankle. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, off we go. Um, Congratulations on a great series of 2024. Yourself and Ellen had some great battles. You know, it's great to see you out in the field of play, shall we say, when you're there. And it's always interesting to know when the two of you show up what's going to happen, because in any given day it could be either one, which is brilliant, and it's great. And you seem to have a good friendly rivalry as well,
Yeah.
which is really nice to see. It's been a really nice season. 2024 was a really nice season with the lads. They're like lots of bromances going on there. I think like they've all had each other's back and racing well together. And the same for the females as well in the sport, and yourself and the girls as well. So
Oh
it's
yeah, it's
it's been
always good. It's
yeah,
never the same. If Ellen's not at the start line, it's never the same. Like
yeah,
it's like I don't want to see her, but then if she's not there, I don't feel like it's the same race at all. Like, even if you get a win when Ellen's not there, it's not really a win. It's
yeah.
the nah, I didn't really deserve it.
You fight. There's a good fight between the two of you,
Oh
like,
God, yeah. I
yeah,
call her, she's my Terminator. Do you know, like you think you've lost her, and then you look behind and she's still there.
yeah. Still
Yeah, it's
coming,
not
still
over
coming.
ever until it's over. So
Yeah, till the line, till the
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
So I suppose give us an idea of how 2024 went for you. Between a bit of everything, you did a nice bit of running as well throughout the year, and obviously the series. So
Yeah.
kick off wherever you want to kick off.
It was a roller coaster, from start to finish, to be honest. We started with the spine, and obviously I didn't finish. I kind of messed myself up in that, and took me a little bit to even get back kind of running. But so then by the time I was back running, the series was starting a couple of weeks later. Like, so it was it was kind of right, just go for it. So I'd say just from the winter training for the spine and just continually biking. I'm always biking. If I'm ever injured, and it usually goes back to the ankle, not all the time, but usually, I just keep the fitness on the bike, and it definitely tends to stand, which is great. And then Kinmare, I just kind of went down for the crack, not thinking I'd have a chance, to be honest, even at the podium. Like, but yeah, no, it's behind Ellen. There was a new girl on the scene for Kinmare last year. She was European. I can't remember her name. Lovely girl, but I'm wondering now, will she be back for Kenmare this year, to challenge it? But she was third, but she gave the two of us a good race, so it was a very close race in the end. And then I suppose what was next? Glendalough was next, and even though Ellen wasn't there, it was actually a really hard day because I punctured on the first bike, and I get Raynaud's on my hands. So I said I'd go out in the run and try to warm up, so I come back after the run thinking, oh, maybe there'll be some little puncture fairies who fix me. But I don't think that happens. But yeah, I found it really difficult to get the tire off just the way my fingers were. Eventually wrestled it off and got back on the bike, but I'd lost a few places. But there's enough running kind of in Glendalough that I was able to kind of claw up back toward the end, which was great. And
Glendaloug's a tough old race. Like
I
it's not
love
one of.
Glendalough.
Do
Oh,
you?
it's deadly. Up, down, up, down. There's no
That's
fix.
it. It's like
It just flies
crikey.
by. Like there's no flash. Well, apart from the run at the end,
Yeah,
it's nearly over then, you know. But
yeah,
I absolutely love it because it's just continual. For every hill, you're getting a downhill, and it's just
yeah,
it flies by.
yeah.
I mean, it's a shorter race as well, but it just the time just disappears.
You had tough weather though. It wasn't
Yeah.
particularly nice.
No,
Like
it
that
wasn't.
day, that morning heading off, it was cold,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
wet, it was
very windy. I
windy,
actually had
rain.
one of my athletes that I coach. She got knocked off the bike with the wind, and she fractured two sides of her hip and got a big in
No.
her arm. Yeah, so and I don't think there was too many accidents, but I'm surprised there wasn't more, to be honest, because it was
Yeah.
really windy. Like I
Mm,
was holding on now for dear life going up into the mountains on the bike,
yeah.
especially.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But then I mean, that's the adventure race, isn't it?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, yeah.
adventure.
Tough day and the
Yeah,
adventures, the weather and whatever else the
it
race
is.
throws
It's
at
all
you.
part of it. Like so.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it does make it when you finish, you are really buzzing when you get through that. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um.
So I suppose after Glendalough, then there's a bit of a break, and then there would have been Dingle. Did you do anything in between that?
Yeah,
Did you go to Dingle this year?
I
Last
did.
year?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. When
yeah,
was
yeah,
Dingle? Dingle was June. So I did
yeah.
the Himal, the Annapurna race.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was end
Where
of
your
April.
shoes got
In
worn down.
May. That was
Yeah,
only after a few days, Lorraine. Like we had a bit of a hike in. We had a maybe 3 or 4 day acclimatization hike. So I was wearing those shoes for that, but it was only a few days into the run and the soles came clean off. So I was like on skis. Lucky I had my poles.
yeah,
And it didn't rain too much until I think it was like the day I was leaving was the worst day, kind of weather-wise. So I was actually quite happy that I'd finished. But yeah, so I'd done that and then when was that? That was April, May, and then oh, we had the world's or not the world's Europeans in Annecy. So we had the
that's right.
mountain running, the trail running Europeans in Annecy. So that was
Yeah,
literally the week before Dingle,
yes.
um, and that was a tough race. Like I was very slow. It was very mucky, and I don't know. It just felt like I was running through tower for the whole thing. It was.
Yeah.
So even though it was very slow, like I felt very slow, the body was wrecked after it because you were really just stuck in the feet with
Working hard.
working hard. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I love Dingle. Dingle's one of my favorites as well. And like my
Don't rush on to Dingle just yet. Come back to Annecy. Come
all
back
right,
to
sorry.
Annecy. Yes, sorry.
I thought we
Um,
have to have this done in 20 minutes, Lorraine. What?
no, no, you're okay. You're okay. So, so with Annecy, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful town, right?
Mm, stunning.
Beautiful restaurants around the place, lovely lake, the whole shebang along there. So ye rock on. How many days did you go for, Laura?
Um,
Did you fly in, fly out? Like were you there 2 or 3 days
yeah,
or?
we flew in. Did we fly into Munich? And no, no, where are we? Honestly, no, we flew into, yeah, no, we did. We flew in and we were there, I think I'm thinking the year before. Sorry, I'm getting my geography wrong. Uh,
It's
I think
okay.
did we come over on like the Wednesday or Thursday? We had a few days because there was obviously the uphill only, there was the classic, and then there was ours. So there was a few days of running.
Yeah,
Um, so we were lucky enough, our race was it on this Friday or the Saturday, but we weren't going. The next day was it the classic had to do their race and then we were flying home that evening. So it was nice that we got to kind of chill a little bit after. So yeah, no, we were there for a couple of days, not a lot, maybe like 2 days, I'd say,
okay.
before the race, and then the race, and then we were going home the next day. Like, but no, it was a great buzz, and like, like the Irish, I think it doesn't
Yeah,
matter what sport it is, you're always going to have a bit of banter and a bit of crack, and
yeah,
everyone's gunning for everyone. There's no kind of egos,
yeah.
um. So it's just really lovely, yeah. And like the girls team, they were just class. I mean, yeah, it was very, very honored to be part of the team, you know.
Yeah, there was a nice crew of you over.
Really nice, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, it was a cool
Mm.
experience. I mean, it's always going to be a cool experience to get into the Irish jersey, but yeah, it's tough. I actually found the Europeans tougher than the Worlds the previous year, and I think it's because there's one distance in the Europeans, like the 60, whereas in the Worlds there was the 50 and the 80. So the elite, I suppose, are split
Yes,
between the two races. So
yeah,
I finished nearly higher in the Worlds than I did in the Europeans, and it's probably
yeah,
because of that, you know, because they're all
because it's split.
pressed into the one.
Yeah,
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 yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, it was fabulous.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know how they run through muck. They float. They don't run
yeah,
through it. They just like
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing, like, you know, but even I suppose like for what we have here to train on in comparison to what you're getting over there, like
yeah.
the steepness is so much more.
Yeah, and it's the continual, you know, you try
Yeah,
to like replicate it here. Like what would we have here is maybe like Donard, you
yeah,
know, we go up
yeah,
Donard, like, but that's our longest continual hill, you
yeah,
know, that's
yeah,
over in like an hour, you know, less. So over there, it can go a lot longer. And
yeah,
it's
for
even
sure.
the uphill, it's actually the continual downhill is nearly worse because you're hammering it downhill, especially on like, you know, some of them are kind of traily fire roads, so you can really let it go. But
Yeah,
then you're just your body's just not used to it, you know?
yeah. And the
Yeah.
quads must be just shattered from it, like, do you know, no matter how strong you are, when you're
Yeah.
continuously downhill like that, must be tough.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, the quads would start, I suppose. Yeah, they would probably be the things that would go a little bit crampy if
Yeah,
anything was to go. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
in that terrain. But I mean, it's stunning running, you know.
Mm,
It's not as like I think in Ireland we've got a lot more technical kind of, you know, because we're in true scrub. We don't have like marked trails everywhere, you know, you kind of
yeah,
have to navigate around and things change depending on the season. Whereas in a lot of the European trails are well run.
yeah,
You know, they've been walked and ran multiple times, so they're well kind of packed.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a few rocky sections, but I still think some of the terrain here is it's a lot dodgier on the ankles.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That
Yeah,
step between here and the UK. Yeah, I definitely
yeah,
think
I
you're
think
looking
so.
at dodgy stuff for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas in Europe, I always find even though it's very steep, it's a lot more runnable.
Mm,
You can see where your feet are landing, and
yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
I suppose, as you said, then moving on, you had Dingle a week later, which is
Yeah, so we did
just,
Dingle the week after and had a great day. I was
mm,
second to Ellen.
yeah,
I'm not too far behind, but I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't going with any kind of aspirations of podium again. I was just like, I love
yeah,
Dingle, so it's like I have the entry and
mm,
it's always a great weekend. Pity it's not on this year, but hopefully
yeah.
it'll be back now next
I,
year. But
I'm gutted. I'm gutted
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
on. Yeah, I
yeah, yeah.
love it. I
It
love it.
is. It's
Whether
great.
I'm competing or just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
supporting or whatever down there for the day, I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
a great spot.
It is, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorites now. So that was Dingle. And then Gale Force West was the following week.
that's right. Yeah,
So I had an entry for that from the previous year. So I was so sure I might as well keep going. See, I find the recovery from the adventure race and I don't find it as hard on my body as from the running.
yeah,
You know, so kind of definitely I was fatigued going into Dingle from the previous week, but I didn't feel as fatigued going into Gale Force.
yes,
And I just love like doing the adventure racing as well, even for just that kind of fast training that I don't always get to do when I'm training for long ultra runs.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we get that kind of adrenaline buzz. So
Mm,
did Gale Force, and that was well, I punctured in Glendalough,
mm.
and I was thinking, right, that's my bad luck over because I'd never punctured in a race before. And sure what, I punctured in Gale Force then on the first
Oh,
leg. And it was way worse because well, it took me a while to get the tire off, first of all, again, the fingers, but then my canister, my little
yeah,
CO2
the gas.
canister thing,
Yeah,
it failed. So then I had to pull somebody over with a pump, and the first pump didn't work. The second pump did work, but I changed the tire at this stage. It wasn't taking air, so I was like, "Shit, I'm out." And like at this stage, 4 or 5 of the girls had passed me. I was like, "Okay, right, this is it." And Ellen wasn't there, so I was like,
yeah,
"This is my chance." And like it was just, oh Jesus. So this girl had been out on her bike, on her gravel bike, and she'd passed me. She'd seen me in trouble, like, and she was asked if I was okay, and I was like, oh, I just need to get this tire pumped. And she had
Yeah.
no kit or anything on her. That was grand. And I don't know how long after she had turned and come back, and she was like, I was still there, like, and she was like, Jesus, you're like, everyone was passing me, and she was like, "You just take my bike." And I was like, I can't take your bike. I was like, well, either that or my race is over. I was
Yeah.
stuck the bike in the ditch. Like it wasn't, I couldn't actually get back on. So I was like, and she looked about my height. So I was like, okay, and it's a gravel bike, so I'm definitely not an advantage.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I left the bike with her. She said she'd see me at the finish, and she was local. She said she just lived up the road. So I
Mm.
was like, okay, if you say so, here's my bike. And
See you
I
later.
took off, but even though she looked my same height, I actually have quite short legs and a long body. So when I got on the bike, I could hardly touch the pedal, so I was hovering off the saddle, because it was too high. So I was like, oh Jesus, this is this is just getting worse.
Oh my God.
So anyhow, I was so determined to ride the bike hard because this lovely girl had given me her bike. So I pushed it, and by the time I got to the base of Crowpatrick, I think I had passed most. I had two girls left.
Yes.
And I didn't know where they were, until I got kind of to the very bottom where you go right up onto the cone, I suppose. And I was told they weren't too far ahead. So I put the foot down, and that was it. But yeah, it was lovely. The girl was there at the finish with her son. So she didn't live that close. She was still another 10K. So she had left the bike, ran home. So partly she's more of a runner, so she was very happy to run, she said. So she ran home. Uh, she got her son, put him in the car, drove back to the place we ditched the bike. She put that in the car, and she met me at the finish. I was just like, I've never
Wow.
been so grateful to somebody in my life. It was
Oh,
so
does that just
lovely.
not warm the cockles of your heart? Like to think that
Yeah.
somebody out there
Oh,
is
like I
so
was in
kind.
tears, just like not because I mean the race went brilliant in the end. It
Yeah.
was probably my hardest race I've ever raced, and Ellen wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it really was. It was my hardest win I've ever had to claw back. And it was such, yeah, I was just, yeah, really, really
Oh
blown
wow.
away by somebody's kindness. Do you
Yeah.
know?
That's
Totally out of
that's
it.
that's emotional kind of
Yeah,
exact. You go to all that trouble of getting out,
yeah,
getting there, making it to the start line, which
yeah,
is always a great thing.
yeah,
And then you puncture, look, can happen to anyone.
yeah.
And darn, like somebody comes back and says, "Here, take the bike. This isn't working for you." I
Um,
mean, amazing.
Yeah, it was. I
That's a
know maybe I
really
shouldn't have
emotional
been
experience.
accepting external help now. There was a question over that, but I had told everyone at the end. I
Yeah,
couldn't keep my mouth
I
shut.
I don't know what your class. Well, I like it wasn't an unfair advantage for sure.
No,
So
I don't think so. But I
no,
was very, very, very lucky because that
yeah,
would have been the race was over. Like there was no
yes,
way I was
yeah,
getting there
yeah,
into that tire.
yeah.
So yeah, so that was Gale Force. So that was an experience.
Well,
Uh,
an experience definitely on somebody
yeah,
else's bike that you're not used to riding.
yeah. No, it's and
Did
yeah,
it?
it was
Did it? Did it?
actually
Did
it
it
was a
encourage
lovely
you?
bike. It wasn't that it was a bad bike. It was just
Yeah,
gravel and way too big for me in the
yeah.
in the saddle
It
height.
didn't. It didn't draw you over to the dark side of gravel cycling, did it?
Oh, well, we're actually going gravel biking in Germany now this summer.
Oh, look at
Lorraine, you can try to hear. Yeah, and the TCR that I signed up for, I'm kind of at the moment, I still don't know, do I go road or gravel because
that.
there's parkours within it that you have to do. They're mandatory sections and they're gravelly.
Okay.
So I'm between the road bike and get kind of gravel, more gravelly tires on, or do I
Yeah.
go gravel, a really good gravel bike? I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah.
it could be gone full circle yet by the end of the
There
year.
you go. And it could be all down to this lady that can lend you her
It
bike.
could. Yeah, I wore everything.
I love it. I love it. So what else happened during the summer?
So that was Gale Force. And so June was very busy. June was too busy.
Mm.
I hadn't thought that I'd qualify for the Europeans. So I was just thinking a couple of adventure races and then I'll do a sky run over in Wales.
Yeah.
And then when I had qualified for the Euros, I couldn't not.
Yeah.
So yes, so the week after Gale Force, I had the Sky Run, the 14 Peaks over in Wales, and yeah, that was amazing. It was one of the toughest races I've ever. That the course was just unbelievable, class, absolutely deadly, but like so tough, so tough. And again, it was going well. I wasn't going in with any notions at all. I was just like wanting to really enjoy it. And because we'd signed up to Dragon's Back, it was going to be similar to the first day of Dragon's Back. So it was kind of going to be a bit of a course recce for that as well, and just to
Yeah.
see what the terrain was like. And I took a hopper on the last descent from that, and I I bust my knee, my hip, my arm, everything. And I did manage to finish and I won it, but I probably should have taken a few weeks off after that, and I
Yeah.
didn't because I was thinking Dragon's back, Dragon's back, Dragon's back.
Yeah.
And I think from that I had developed too many little compensations within the body. Hindsight, at the time I thought I was grand, but
Yeah.
like my
Yeah.
left knee, and it still has a little lump of tissue just floating on it. Like I couldn't kneel, I couldn't do any of my yoga poses on that knee. Still, it's a bit of a problem, so it
Yeah.
was, I think I knocked out a hip, and that was pulling on, so it was kind of, at the time, I was still kind of buzzing from the win and thinking, oh, I'm grand, I'll go out on the bike, I'll be fine, go out on the bike for a couple of weeks. And I was back running and into full training. I'm
Yeah.
too soon, too soon. I know that now, but
Yeah.
yeah, a lesson learned. But I mean, it was a fantastic race and I'm delighted I did it. But
Yeah.
and you fall, these things happen. But I think it's
Yeah.
recovery. I'm learning more and more. And I talk so much when I'm teaching yoga about listening to your body and respecting this stuff, and then I go and
Yeah. It's very
do
hard
that.
though. It's very hard not to, when you're running and biking and it's something you love to do and you get a bit of a hop, it's very
Yeah,
hard to kind of go, you kind of go, okay, well, 1 or 2 days I'll be fine, and then off you go again.
yeah, yeah. That's
Sometimes,
it. Because
yeah,
your fitness is there, you're in that kind of, you're buzzing, you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
everything's going great. Yeah, I've got a few cuts and bruises, but like it's surface. I haven't broken it, and I don't think,
yeah,
you're just like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
It's
it does, and I think unfortunately, the older we get, the less we get away with
don't talk about it. Yes, I totally agree.
it. Yeah.
Things that would you'd be over in a
So
week
yeah,
are
yeah.
definitely take a
So
little bit more time.
recovery, definitely. So
Yeah.
yeah, going on then from that, I guess Dragon's Back, got through the first day relatively unscathed, but there was something going on. Like it was just the quad, which I never have issues with ever, and but it was the same quad as that knee that I'd bashed. And then by middle of the second day, I was hardly walking, never mind running. And it was just, so I had rolled on the ankle, but it wasn't enough to take me out.
Yeah.
Again, I was compensating. So there was just a big mess of stuff happening, to the point where I was like, okay, I can't do this for another 4 days. It's just not happening. I couldn't, you're
Mm,
walking, not even walking, like people walking were walking faster than me. It was just
yeah.
really tedious and a horrible way to do a race that was my A race essentially last year. I mean,
Yeah.
apart from Nepal, that I was like, this is not the way I'm going to end this story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, that was a DNF. But it's one of the few DNFs. I have a few DNFs, and I don't mind DNFs now because I should have DNF'd Cape Wrath a couple of years ago. I kept going, and that's what fecked up my ankle. But it's one of the few DNFs that I do still want to go back. I like, it's not
Mm,
like the spine. No,
yeah.
that's grand. I don't need to go back. But
Yeah.
Dragon's Back, it's still on the list. It hasn't been scrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think people get very hung up in DNFs, you know.
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you don't mind them. And I think that's a very good, I don't mind them either. I remember before I would have been kind of very much like, oh God, I don't want a DNF. I think sometimes you end up pushing yourself too far not
Yeah.
to DNF. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's a quality just to say, look, listen to your body as you do in
Yeah,
yoga.
it's telling you,
It's It does. It
It's
talks
shouting
to
and
you.
screaming at you. It's not even whispering, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're not in a position where it's fight or flight.
No.
So you are in a safe place and you're making the decision to fight on with your body. So I
Yeah.
think sometimes we need to sit back and just sit with it for a moment and go,
Yeah.
no, it's over, and a week off, and
Yeah.
totally look after yourself. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes as athletes we forget to do that.
I think so, yeah. And you do get like even when you're trying to DNF, like I remember the day that I did DNF and it was the same in the spine. The amount of people, oh come on, you can keep going, you be grand, you can do this, you can do that. And I'm like, I'm not doing this for like, well, in the spine it was I know another 100K and
Yeah,
driving back was another 4 days. I was like, no, I can't do it. It's
yeah,
not like I know if my body was working right, I can do it. It's not a mental thing. I
mm,
actually physically cannot move. And like,
yeah,
that's just miserable. Like, I don't want to do stuff I don't enjoy. What's
yeah,
the point?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, 100%.
like if
Yeah,
you're
they're,
not enjoying it, yeah, to me, it's like, it's the joy and the adventure. Like a DNF, it's not nice. And especially if you've invested a lot of money and time into an event, it's
mm,
really kind of shitty. But
mm,
yeah, I can let that go.
yeah. Well, I think it's bravery. I think it's brave to listen to your body, and even though it's not nice, I think it is the nicest thing to do,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
if you
And
get what I mean.
hindsight's a good thing
Yeah,
too. You can look
yeah,
back on it and yeah, any of the races, there's not that many, but there's a couple.
yeah,
I don't have any I don't go, oh Jesus, maybe I should have kept going. I don't have
yeah,
any of them, just no.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
yeah. Because I know when I haven't DNF'd, that's where the damage has really happened. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then you're suffering for years.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Whereas if
go to a
you,
month or two.
yeah, for the sake of one race that, if you call it at the right time,
Yeah,
you can have a lot more pleasure further down the line. Yeah,
exactly.
I think it is a hard decision, like as you say, nobody likes to make that decision. You don't
No,
want to be in a position to make that
no.
decision.
It's
But
hard. Yeah.
it is horrible. It's
Yeah.
it's it's horrible because, and if you're in a team and you have to do it, it's even worse because it's
Yeah,
not only you you're thinking about, it's somebody else. So
exactly.
you have to weigh it up and down. But
It's probably a lot harder because at least when it's just you, you're the only one really affected. But yeah, I can
yeah,
imagine in a team
yeah,
event, it's a
yeah.
lot harder. Yeah,
And
to
with team events, then you also have to be very careful because you don't want your mind to play tricks on you. That, oh, I'm sore than I am, or Jesus, I have 3 more days of this, and
yeah,
am I that?
yeah,
There's a lot into it. But I think, and sure you know as well, Laura, from the team stuff. So, it's definitely a lot easier just to be on from that perspective on your own to worry about that kind of stuff. But anyway, on to happier and nicer things than DNFs.
and DNF. So yeah, so that was Dragon's Back, and then myself and Johnny had planned to go out to my sister after Dragon's Back for a holiday, and she was doing a 50K, so we jumped on the bandwagon and did the 26K of the same as part of the Golden Trail series,
Okay.
and again, not thinking I'd be able to do it to be honest, like, but it was a brilliant weekend, and the climb, and we didn't know this, but the climb was actually called the Dragon's Back in the big climb. So I was like, oh, we have to do it. We have to finish this. We have to finish this climb. So we did, and it went really well. It was brilliant, brilliant weekend. And my sister finished her 50K, and yeah, it was great. And then we came back. And I kind of had decided, oh yeah, so I did Fermanagh that
Mm,
weekend because it's deadly. I loved Fermanagh as well. And I think
yeah.
it's a really unsung race. I think a lot of people haven't tried it and you need to try it. It's such a
Oh,
lovely, lovely event. Real like community run. It just yeah, a really lovely buzz. Good bike. Like if you're strong on the bike, it probably favors the biker a little bit more,
yeah,
but the
yeah,
runs are equally challenging. And the kayak is one of the coolest kayak sections in any of the races because you kind of go down the Mayo cliff. Oh,
yeah,
there's multiple steps, and then you do your kayak, and it's a couple of K. It's a little bit longer than some of the others, and then you
yeah,
have to go back up the steps again and back on the bike. But brilliant, brilliant event. So
yeah.
enjoy that.
And that's a beautiful scenic race because once you come back, or before you go down the steps to the kayak, you have the whole vista in front of you.
if it's
It's
not
amazing.
misty. Every
Yes.
time I've raced it, I haven't. But I had driven up there the day before one of the races and I saw that vista. But any of the times I've raced it, I can't remember seeing that. It was just that real mist that seems to
Yeah. Yeah.
descend on the
Yeah.
lake. But it
It's a
is,
fab race
it's
though.
gorgeous countryside. Really,
Mm,
really lovely. Love the bike and that. Yeah, you can
mm,
really let it rip.
yeah.
Um, so that was for Mana. So at that stage, I had done 5 races, and so I kind of knew I had done enough for the series. And I had always said that I wasn't focusing on the series the last couple of years, to be honest. But I
Mm,
just can't help myself because I just really enjoy it.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I did say this year. I wasn't going to do Sea to Summit because last year I was literally hypothermic on the bike, like tears in my eyes, hypothermic, and like got on to the last run and like my feet were so frozen that I actually fell. Like I actually just lost my feet. So I was just like, right, okay, I don't need to do that because I had such a busy year. And then it was between Killarney and I got a free entry for the Sky Run up in the Mournes. And I had worked that weekend as well. So I was like, Jesus, the Mournes are only up the road, whereas Killarney, it's the whole weekend. So I went to the Mournes and that was part of so if I had done the Sky Run, the Ultra Sky Run in the 14 Peaks, and you only had to do 2 ultras for the series. So it was between myself and Nikki Spinks for the series. So I was like, feck it, sure, I might as well give it a lash. It's in the backyard.
Yeah.
So I did that the weekend of Killarney. So I didn't make Killarney. And I love Killarney and it's a brilliant weekend as well. But just this year I headed north instead of south. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think they're going to clash most years.
Because I
Again.
remember the year I did it, Laura. Actually, you were there that year as well.
Mhm.
Um, the year we skied down the mountains because
Oh
that's
God,
really,
yeah,
yeah,
that
that,
was
I
horrendous.
mean, it was just horrific. Was it
Yeah,
not horrific? I mean, I think the guys that had the mud claws on were the only ones that
yeah.
possibly weren't falling as
Oh my
much.
God, Lorraine, like I think I needed therapy after that race.
I did. Yeah, I totally did. And I had my poles with me. I don't think you had poles, did
No, I
you?
didn't. I
Yeah,
had S-labs or like the really like ones that are like skis, like the
yeah,
really tapered lugs. And like
yeah,
literally every time I put my foot down, I was on my bum. Like it
yeah.
was, it was
It
so
was
bad.
it was
Well, it was
so
lovely
bad.
this year. It was
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
I did manage to roll my ankle again.
No.
Yeah. But sure, it's nearly part of me now at this stage. But yeah, great event. So I got the Ultra Series from that race,
Well,
which I was really happy with.
brilliant.
Yeah, it
Congrats.
was a nice way
Hey.
to finish the year because
Yeah,
there was a lot of ups, but the big ones there was 2 big downs.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that was kind of my redemption run for the year. So yeah, it was great. And again, a
brilliant.
beautiful course.
Yeah,
Recommend it to anyone. It was really, really challenging, but absolutely stunning. We had a really lovely day for it too. So
yeah,
we were
yeah,
lucky.
yeah.
So that was the year, Lorraine.
Oh my God, I'm wrecked after it. I'm wrecked. Wrecked. Seriously. Like, I mean, between like you had three big races kind of planned for this year, like between
Mm,
the Spine, Nepal, and the Dragon's Back.
yeah, it was too
They're
much.
they're
It was a wee
three
bit too
big
much.
races,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
massive.
yeah,
Nepal is at altitude,
yeah.
so like you're up there and the air is thin, you
Yeah.
know. Ah,
But you
I
know,
crazy.
funny, Lorraine, out of all of them, my body was I'm not saying I wasn't tired, but my body survived so well in that race. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe I should just live at altitude. I don't know. Now
yeah,
I did struggle, but not that bad. Like it
yeah,
just slowed down. I didn't get headaches or my breathing was obviously a little bit labored or
yeah,
whatever. But my actual body, as in injury wise, it
yeah,
really well. And I don't know, was it the terrain or I don't know. It just was great. I did a little bit of yoga. I actually yogied my way through Nepal as well. I kind of made it that would get up early and do a little session, just a short session, but maybe it was that. But honest to God, and then my body fell apart when I finished, but not injury wise. I
Yes.
got some tummy bug, some breathing thing, and my throat felt like there was daggers in it for about a week. But during the actual race, it was magic. It was
Yeah.
just such an amazing
And
experience, the whole
you
thing.
didn't get any altitude sickness, like upset tummy or anything like that?
No, not
No?
really. Like I
Wow.
had been at altitude before and I knew I wasn't, I was usually okay. I just
Mm.
get slow. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm again running through tar or
Yeah.
not running. So I slow, but that's about it. And then once I get over the top and down, I'm
Yeah.
flying, not flying, but I
Yeah.
know. Luckily, no, I don't. But like you could see, like the longer race had started a couple of weeks before ours, and there was a lot of French guys running in that who are probably maybe living in the Alps as well, but like it just didn't affect them at all. So like they would just be running past you, but they'd be people that usually you'd be in front of, but the
Yeah.
altitude, I mean, so it obviously was affecting me.
Yeah.
Because you've these guys who usually on, the lower altitudes wouldn't be anywhere near you, but they're literally like running rings around you up the mountain, like so.
Yeah.
It did affect me, but no, not any really bad effects.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, touch
Yeah.
wood, we can go again. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did a good bit of sauna training for the altitude. And I don't know if that helped. Maybe it did. Like the sauna training, like you can do it for heat acclimatization, but also for altitude.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of physiological effects or whatever. So I was doing that as part of my training.
Okay.
Yeah. So again,
And it's a silly question here, but what does that involve?
sitting on your ass in a sauna.
That's it. Okay. I just had to imagine you there with the bike in the sun and you cycling on the turbo trainer or
Oh,
something.
just sitting on your ass.
Okay.
Like you kind of just build it, depending on if you've been using a sauna for a while. I was never a fan of the sauna at all. At all. And then I was like, right, okay, I'll give this a shot. So I had to build up because usually I'd only go in for 5 minutes and then I get sick of listening to lads talking about this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. So I'd be out the gap. But with this, you build it up. So I built it up to half an hour, but that would have been done maybe in, a 5, a 10, a 15, and then maybe
Yeah.
3 tens. And then, so I kind of, and then eventually, maybe a 20 and a 10, and then eventually up to, so over a period of time. So it was every few days. And it was only like a couple of months out, like it wasn't like for months and months.
Yeah.
And then closer to day, I maybe 2 weeks before, I think I did a good few in a row. And then coming up to it, I didn't, because it does actually take quite a lot out of your system as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would have been brought down to just every few days again. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's loads of reading out there on it.
Yeah.
It is scientifically proven to work. So maybe that helped.
Yeah.
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 It
Sure.
definitely has helped with my running in warm weather, because I used
Yeah.
to not enjoy that at all. I used to get quite wrecked now, in fairness, but I don't mind that now. So and I would probably put that down to the sauna.
We'll be getting you a tent that Rob Heffernan had there, for the altitude.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. 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 That's the right job. Yeah. Lower the oxygen at night. Away off you go.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see
Amazing.
guys and they'd have the masks, and like there's
Yeah.
loads of different things. I mean, it's hard being from, a country at sea level
Yeah.
when you want to do these crazy races, like even UTMB, like there's always, yeah. So you're trying to recreate as much as you can without having to break the bank as well.
Yeah. 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 I mean, great if you can get out there for a few weeks and do a bit of training or a
Yeah,
month or whatever before you start a race, just to,
yeah,
for want of a better word, acclimatize. But
yeah,
yeah, it's really difficult from a financial point of view as well, if you're
it
trying
is.
to do all these things. But yeah, it's great if you can. It's great if you
Yeah,
can.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So you kind of mentioned it there earlier on for this year. So you have a big cycle. Uh,
Cycle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called again? The trans.
The transcontinental, so it's the
Yeah,
TCR.
TCR.
Um, transcontinental race. This is number 11, the 11th edition, and it took a little break kind of over COVID times, so it probably skipped a couple of years. I was back on the calendar there last year. Again, I had actually got into it before when I was living in Canada, and around the same time my mum got sick and I moved home and all the rest, so I just didn't have the time or the headspace, similar to Nepal actually, but the bike was kind of previous to that. And yeah, I kind of hummed and had over it and then forgot about it, to be honest. And then
Yeah.
it came up on my radar again toward the end of last year. They were looking for, they call it's hashtag 100, so they're looking for female participation. So they're opening it up. So they had an early system for women, and to make it more inclusive. So they were aiming to have 100 women in the comp, and I think the most they've ever had is 40 odd. So I was like, oh, maybe it'd be a nice year to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And as well, I guess my ankle has been pissing me off for the last couple of years, and I was thinking, do you know what? The bike never has let me down. Like the running, I love, and it is my passion. It's probably the number one for me, but I've been hurt a few times too many in the last couple of years, and the bike's always there waiting for me, going, right, Laura, come on, we'll be on you for another couple of we'll have you for another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, maybe it wouldn't be a bad time just to focus a little bit on the bike and strengthening and resting the ankle, and kind of, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be running over the mountains, but there'll just be a little bit more bike than run this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hoping that will yeah, like, and I'm lucky I enjoy the bike. So I'm not a runner who bikes because they're injured. Like, I'll still bike even when I'm not injured.
Yeah.
But it is a lovely thing to be able to fall back on when you are injured from running, and you can still get that you know, that you can keep your fitness, but you can still get that kind of buzz of being outside and moving. It just takes a little bit more time. That's the only thing. A little bit more time and effort.
It does. I love the bike.
Especially in the winter. It's like I'm like the Michelin man going out at the moment, like, and so I'm layering and delayering, and then you're like, oh, do I have to wash the bike? Sure, I'm going out in it tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that extra bit of effort, whereas you just grab the runners, leave the house, and, you know, even half an hour you have a solid session done. Whereas on the bike, you nearly kind of, to justify taking it out, you nearly need to do an hour and a half at least, you know.
Yeah.
So,
As one of the lads used to say in the club, sure, look, if you're going out on the bike, you definitely have to go for a while, because by the time you're dressed on the bike, the bottle's filled, the whole lot done. Like, you just can't go out for an hour. Like, you have to go
no,
for a bit longer.
you have to make it worth it. Yeah, yeah.
But it's true. It's true.
So
But
yeah,
I agree with you. I think it's great. I think it's great in the bike to be able, for cross training, obviously, as well. It's amazing.
yeah,
But
definitely. Yeah,
I think if you enjoy it as as an athlete like yourself, heading off on the bike, that you can hop or trot to whichever one you want to do, because the fitness is there on both. So you're still fit running, you're still fit in the bike, you know.
yeah.
And you obviously keep your fitness up with the swimming as well, Laura, do you?
Oh
Like, you're
yeah,
doing
I
a bit of
will.
swimming.
With the swimming, like, cause like I used to do triathlon years ago, but I've always swam, not
Yeah.
competitively. I just love swimming, and now I use it for recovery.
Mm.
Just I know I teach yoga and I practice yoga, but I actually find the swimming just really stretches you out. You know, that kind of reach and roll.
Yeah.
And I'll use the fins quite a lot just to flush out the legs, and I'll use the paddles and the buoy to get a little bit of upper body strength. I do a bit of strength. More recently, I've been doing a lot more, but for a while there, that would have been my upper body, was the swimming, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I find I enjoy it. It's just a nice little switch off. I don't do massive sessions now, like when I would have been competing in the triathlons, but like if I get in for a K or two, I'm happy. A couple of times a week. So yeah, no, it's I like that. I don't go so much in the open water. The pool's just as handy, like
Yeah.
yeah, and get a good session in. So yeah.
Yeah. Nice one.
I'm not as brave as yourself, Lorraine.
Oh my God. Sure, as I just say to you, I just sit in the water. That's it.
You're
I'm not
still in
swimming.
it. I'd
A quick
still be
dip.
there frozen. Solid.
I know it's nice. I like it. I find it especially at the sea. You're looking at the mountains. It's really pretty and
Yeah.
just gives you a bit of
Oh,
time
yeah.
to decompress. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
No,
nice. Yeah,
totally.
nice.
I do. I like it when there's a sauna beside it. I really enjoy that. And I can get in and out. That's deadly.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That is
Yeah.
true. That
Yeah.
is true. It is nice.
But yeah, I suppose that the rain house was, I mean, a thing that it didn't stop me from doing the triathlon, but it would have been something that did put me off because I would always be frozen, even in the summer, coming out of the water, and I'd find it really difficult to like even put on my helmet or adjust my shoes or it was just a mess. Like, so the open water I love, but it's the bit after. I love swimming in the open water, but it's the bit
Yeah.
after. I just have to get warm straight away because once the body temperature changes, I'm like an antichrist. Like,
Okay. And like, have you tried the gloves?
yeah, yeah,
Neoprene
yeah.
glove,
Gloves, the hat, the booties. Yeah.
the
Yeah,
whole
because
lot.
it's not when I'm swimming. I'm fine when I'm actually in the water. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like that's fine. Yeah. Like I could get it like I get it on the bike. But it's worse when I finish. Do you know,
Yes.
like I could finish my bike ride, I'm not too bad, and I take the gloves off to put the key in the door and I can't, I'm fumbling because the fingers have started to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those things. I actually saw a thing on Instagram today. I'm going to try a hack. This one had the heat pads, like the heat pads you
Yes.
put in the shoes. But she had it like kinesio tape to her wrists because that's obviously, where most heat comes is from your wrists
Yeah.
and ankles and your neck. So if you keep them warm, but that's a good one to know because I would have always worn mitts.
Yeah.
To keep my fingers together and put the pad in there. But sometimes, especially for the adventure race, and you want that dexterity, you won't be able to move your fingers for changing
Yes.
the gears. So yeah, I'm going to try that one maybe from Kenmare.
Yeah. But
If you see some dodgy looking things on my wrist, that's what it is.
we know what you're doing. But it
Yeah,
kind of makes sense. Like you're
yeah,
sending the heat down. Yeah.
yeah,
Not losing it from there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Might
yeah.
work. You'll have to
So,
keep us posted on that one, Laura.
yeah, I might trial it out before because apparently some of the heat pads can actually burn your wrists. So
Oh no.
I'll have
No,
to
no.
experiment before I go
Yes.
gung ho
Yeah.
into
Yes,
it.
definitely. Try, as they say, definitely try before you buy, but definitely
Yes,
try
I
them
think
before
so.
you race.
Yeah.
For sure. Laura, I'm going to round it up there. I just want to say thanks very much. A massive year last year for you. I wish you all the best for 25. Looking forward to hearing your stories throughout the year and meeting you on the races. Hopefully, during the series, we might see you out there for some of the series races 2025.
Yeah, no, it's definitely part of the plan. Hopefully, if I can get, as I say, I'm a wee bit out of action running wise at the moment, but hopefully I'll get back there for Kenmare. And we've signed up to Ballore as well,
Yes,
in Donegal. So really hoping to be back good for that. There's
good.
plenty of bike in that though as well. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That should be good. It's nice to kind of see a replacement of the race kind of coming back.
yeah, and Donegal's just class,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. So it'll be good.
It looked
It'll be good.
it looked like he's added in some epic bits in the course, so be
I've
nice.
no doubt. I've no doubt. Yeah.
Unless he decides to come back from New Zealand and throw in another few bits.
I know.
God
I
knows.
might stay out there. I'd be tempted just to stay looking at what.
For sure, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to leave you go, Laura. Have a great evening and thank you so much for your time and joining us here on ARI this evening.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Lovely chatting to you as always.
Likewise. Thanks, Laura.
Bye.